If you pick up your guitar and it feels like you're fighting it, if the strings feel stiff, the bends are scratchy, your hand gets stuck on the back of the neck, or your fingers hurt after 5 minutes, I'm going to show you 5 simple maintenance hacks that will completely transform the way your instrument feels. I'm going to show you all the things to consider to make the right choice, so stick around till the end to get that buttery pro level setup. Hi, my name is Albert Tejera. This channel is all about improving your electric guitars, from modding to tweaking or to repairing. But today we aren't going to talk about electronics or swapping out parts. We're talking about something arguably more important: playability. You know, a lot of people think that a guitar feels stiff or hard to play just because the strings are too heavy or the guitar is cheap. But basically, 90% of the time, it comes down to friction and geometry. If your guitar fights you, you can't play your best. It's just that simple. So I'm going to walk you through a few DIY steps: cleaning, polishing, lubricating, and a special trick for the back of the neck that you can do on your bench right now to make your guitar feel like a custom shop instrument. The first thing we need to address is the fretboard itself. Now, pardon me if you already know this, but you'd be surprised how many guitars I see that have years of built-up gunk right next to the frets. So what happens is that sweat and skin oils mixed with dust and dirt, they create this slightly sticky residue. It builds up right where the fret meets the wood. When you're trying to slide up the neck or do a vibrato, that residue acts like a brake. It increases the friction coefficient substantially. You might not see it from a distance, but your fingers definitely feel it. So the first thing, remove your strings. You want to take a soft cloth, an old t-shirt works great, or even a shop towel works great, and clean the wood. If you have rosewood or ebony fretboard, a little bit of naphtha or lighter fluid is safe and evaporates quickly without damaging the wood. Now, if you have maple neck with a finish, just a damp cloth or standard guitar polish is fine. So you want to get right up against the metal fret wire. If gunk is really stubborn, you can even use the edge of an old credit card to gently scrape it away. But once that wood is clean, your fingers aren't dragging against dirt anymore. So it sounds basic, I know, but it's the foundation of a good feel. If the board is dry now, it's the time to condition it with a little bit of lemon oil. But just a little. We don't want to really soak it in. We just want to restore the color and feel to the wood. Now, while the strings are off, let's talk about the back of the neck. This is a huge friction point for a lot of players. If you have a glossy finish, your hands can get very sticky, especially when you sweat. It creates a vacuum effect, making it hard to move rapidly up and down the neck. Now, I did a video a while back where I suggested using a Scotch-Brite pad to actually scuff the finish and remove that gloss to make it a satin finish. That works fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it physically reduces the surface area touching your hand. But I know some of you guys are hesitant to scratch up your finish because, hey, it's a more permanent modification. You might be worried about resale value or just hurting the back of the neck. So here is a shortcut that adds another dimension to the feel. It makes it play like a dream, but it's not permanent. It's non-destructive. We're going to simply apply just a tiny amount of mineral oil to the back of the neck. You don't need expensive guitar products for this. Standard mineral oil from the pharmacy works. You could even use baby oil since it's mostly mineral oil, but you may not like the scent. But put on a dab on a paper towel and wipe it to apply to the back of the neck. Rub it in well it creates this incredibly slick barrier. It eliminates that sticky feeling instantly. It gives you the feel of a satin finish without having to sand down your clear coat. It does wear off eventually, so you might want to have to reapply it every few string changes, but it really makes moving up and down the neck effortless. Now, moving on. This is probably the biggest game changer for how a guitar feels: fret polishing. Yes, if you try to bend a string and it feels like you're dragging it over sandpaper, or you hear a scratching noise, that is oxidized metal. Even a brand new guitar can have rough frets from the factory. We want the frets to look like mirrors. When they are smooth, the string glides over them with almost zero resistance. This allows you to use a very, very light touch. To do this, you need to protect your fretboard wood. I recommend using masking tape or painter's tape to cover the wood between the frets. It takes a few minutes to tape off the whole neck, but it's worth it. You can also find some thin metal protectors for this purpose that you can move from fret to fret and speed things up a little bit. I'll provide links in the description below, so if you want to go this route. Then you can use 0000 steel wool. That's 4 zeros. It's a very fine steel wool. Now, a huge word of caution here. If you are using steel wool on an electric guitar, you must tape over your pickups completely. The steel wool sheds little metal fibers, and if you get those into your magnetic pickups, they can short them out or cause these tremendous headaches. So cover those pickups up with tape. Alternatively, use a polishing eraser or Brasso. You just want to buff up the top of the frets until it shines. When you put the strings back on after this, it's going to feel like you're skating on ice. It makes vibrato effortless because you aren't fighting the friction of the metal. So stick around, and if you like my channel, please like and subscribe so that I can know that there is an interest for this kind of information. I really want to help you guys to get the most out of your instrument, and your support really helps me do that. Okay, let's talk about the nut. A lot of people blame the tuners when your guitar won't stay in tune, or they feel the strings are stiff when tuning up. If your string is binding on the nut slot, meaning it gets stuck on the nut due to friction, two things happen. One, you get that pinging sound when you tune. Two, the tension isn't equalizing properly between the tuner and the playing area. This can actually make the strings feel stiffer when you bend because the string isn't gliding back and forth through the nut slot. You don't need expensive products to fix this, though. They do exist. I like using a graphite powder for locks and some lithium grease mixed up, but you can simply just use a mechanical pencil. The graphite from the pencil lead is a wonderful dry lubricant. Just loosen the strings, lift it out of the slot, and color in the slot with the pencil. This lubricates the contact point, and it ensures that when you bend a string, it returns back to pitch perfectly. And it removes that feeling of the string catching. It's a tiny detail, but it adds to the overall sensation of a high-quality setup. Finally, we have to talk about action, or string height. This is the geometry part of the equation. If your action is too high, you have to use a lot of force to push the string down, which fatigues your hand. If it's too low, you lose volume and sustain. Now, finding the perfect string height is a deep topic. It depends on your radius, your truss and adjustment rod, and most importantly, your playing style, whether you have a heavy hand or a light touch. Because it's such a nuanced topic, I actually made a dedicated, in-depth video that walks you through exactly how to measure and set up for your specific needs. And that's the important part, figuring out what your needs are. I've linked that video in the description below. I highly recommend that you watch it right after this one, because dialing your geometry is the final piece of the puzzle to make your guitar play its best. So, if you clean the board, slick up the back of the neck with that mineral oil trick, polish the frets, lubricate the nut, and then hop over to that other video to set your action, you should be good to go. It's not that hard to do, and it's really something very important for your enjoyment of the instrument. I'd like for you guys and encourage you to also add to the comments below if you've tried these steps, especially that mineral oil trick, and how much of a difference it made for you. Did the polishing change the feel? Let me know. And if you can too, please like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. And remember to just keep playing. Fretboard. To do this, you need to protect your fretboard. To do this, you need to protect your fretboard. To do this, you need to protect your fretwood board. No.